Yes.
And what they've said is, you know what?
Yes.
You shouldn't have to travel very far to get quality healthcare. It should be near where you work and near where you live. So whatever it is that you needed to do to attend to your health, we're talking about things like chemotherapy, dialysis, endoscopy, all sorts of things that you will be met, your medical needs will be met by a team of specialists, from general surgeons to gastroenterologists to oncologists, across the board, anything that you would need. And it's quality healthcare at your doorstep, because you know what? Great universal healthcare here and now.
That is what you need. And if you're thinking, all right, so what I also need is, proper health insurance. Jubilee Health Insurance has the best package. It's called JCare Johari, one of the many products they have. So the JCare Johari is affordable and comprehensive. If you're looking for an affordable and comprehensive health insurance plan, Jubilee Health Insurance's JCare Johari might just be what you need. The JCare Johari offers a straightforward online enrollment process, no paperwork or health checks required. You can also sign up directly on the website, and the website is www.jubileeinsurance.com, and it covers pre-existing conditions, including free telemedicine services, making healthcare accessible and convenient. How much is it? Plans will start from about 25,500 a year. That's a good thing. It's a great option for those who are seeking comprehensive coverage at an affordable price. Call Jubilee today and tell them, I've heard about the JCare Johari. I want to know more about it before I even go back to the website and enroll. If you'd like to do that, you can call them. The number city, 0709
949 000.
0709 949 000. And the website is www.jubileeinsurance.com. Hivyo tu, like that. Our next guest is the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development. Hey, you're taxing land, you're taking away our land, you are colonizers. Those questions will be answered shortly by Alice Wahome.
How can that be the greetings for the morning? You mean? You are mean.
How are you?
I know you are delivering a message from elsewhere.
Yes. Are you well?
I'm good, I'm well, and you?
Very well.
Yeah.
Good to see
Thank you very much for having me here.
Karibu sana.
Yes, thank you.
Karibu.
Yeah.
CT will welcome you with, of course, the day's proverb. And this week the proverbs are from the Lusophone country of
Angola. Yeah, the Republic of Angola. One who throws the stone forgets. One who is hit remembers forever.
One who throws the stone forgets. One who is hit remembers forever. Mheshimiwa Alice, what's your interpretation of this one?
I think then it's just maybe a caution, but the fact is, when you throw a stone to somebody or do a bad thing to that person, that person, because of the hurt, because of the pain or anguish that the stone may cause, the injury, that person cannot forget. But the thrower, the victim will not forget. But the aggressor will obviously forget and go elsewhere, possibly hit another person. And I think it's we should do good, because it doesn't really help to do bad to people.
So even when the consequences are not on you, remember that there's somebody else who may bear the consequence.
Of course, when you throw the stone, you are throwing away from you.
Yep.
So it's unlikely to come back to you. But eventually, maybe another person will throw a stone to you.
You may be the recipient.
Yes, so we should do good. We
Okay.
should do good.
Okay.
I heard City saying there is no right answer to any of the proverbs. Just depends on the personal interpretation.
You are very right, Madam Mheshimiwa, Madam Waziri, because when we ask for your opinion, how can it possibly be wrong? It's your opinion.
A
Yes.
long time, you guys. Namwonanga tu.
Kwa mbali.
Kwa ubali.
Kwa
Kwa ubali, nafikiri kwa ubali. But I came here, I think I have come here since I was privileged to get an appointment.
The last time you were
Secretary.
here, you were Cabinet Secretary for Water.
Yeah, and
Water.
I think things were still
You still new
settling
and working
that time,
on the
yes.
plans.
Now I'm the Minister for Ads, as you have properly described it.
So
I have 3 state departments.
yes,
Yes.
lands, public
works,
housing
and housing and urban development. And of course, housing and urban development can be split even into 2 departments. Yeah.
Today we're talking about lands,
Yes.
and just to call you the way city has called you, Honorable Mheshimiwa Waziri,
Madam Waziri.
Madam Waziri.
Yes.
Yes,
We want
City. I was hoping I would find City in his traditional, his trademark. Is it a cap or
kofia.
whatever?
Hula.
Kofia.
Nigeria call it hula.
Hula. Okay, so let's get into the stuff.
There's the conversation has been happening in the
Yeah.
public spaces, and several times here we've said no, the finance bill does not have this. It's a different piece of legislation.
Yes,
but
that
what's
is true.
out there in the public is that Parliament is considering some proposals that are seeking to convert the ownership structure of land from freehold to leasehold, and thereby subjecting people who are inheriting land to start paying tax on that land. Now, give us the chronology of where we get to at this point.
The actually what has happened is that there has been a lot of misinformation regarding that proposal to amend the Land Act. We have leaseholds and freeholds, and the argument or the narrative, the propaganda was that we are converting people's freeholds to leaseholds so that we can charge and then from there take the land if, say, you are not able to service or to pay. That is far from the truth. Of course, we have freeholds. Land is divided into freeholds and leaseholds. And within that we have community land, because generally land is set into 3: community land, public land, and private land. I mean, you can now broad description of the categories: public, community, and private. What is yours is private. That private can be either by way of leasehold. The tenure is either freehold or leasehold. Now, what we proposed to do by the amendment that we had sent to Parliament, there were various amendments because obviously every time there are changes, this was covering freeholds within cities and urban areas. And we even improved it further. When we proposed it, we hadn't capped it to, kind of like to say, if it's agricultural, then do not take any levy. And whether it's within an urban area or not. The rationale behind this.
May I just pause a bit?
Yes.
And I think it's important for us to get some clarity in definitions.
So the proposal...
The difference between leasehold and freehold. What is leasehold?
A leasehold
is freehold?
The tenure of leasehold means you have been given a lease. And there is then a lessor. You become the lessee. For the maximum leasehold period or term you can get in this country is 99 years. Because as a country, we removed 999 years that was there basically to favor the colonialists. So the country said any leasehold from the government, whether county government or national government, would only be capped to 99 years. Of course, you can have less, 50 years, 49 years. Then the other one is freehold, which is in perpetuity. It's yours, you hold it. It is not. It has no term limit. That's really the difference. That a freehold has no term limit. It's yours. You inherit your children, your great, forever and ever, until the country, for example, decides whether to. Because still the country, the nation guides in terms of policy and land tenures. In some countries, individuals, citizens don't own land. All land belong to state. To the state. However, so the freehold is what we were proposing within the cities to charge a levy. Because why? In this city, let's just use Nairobi. In Nairobi, when you go to Karen, people own 20, 50, 60 acres,
of
even 300 acres, even today.
Of freehold land.
Freehold land.
Freehold land. It's
Okay.
within the city, enjoying all services that we provide.
Okay.
When you come to Muthaiga, to Lavington, to Westlands, all these places are on freeholds. Maybe when we were doing our land tenures and the land laws that time, of course it was, influenced by our colonial. I just call them masters.
Yes.
The background we know is the English law, and therefore we inherited. Those were the areas that were occupied by the white in terms of residences. If you go to Eastlands, maybe from here Mombasa Road to up to all the way to Kayore, to all those areas, Kasarani, all those are leaseholds.
Okay.
The ordinary, you could say at that time, it's like even to go to Westlands, maybe for a black person, for a Kenyan citizen, it wasn't maybe possible. And it was unheard of that you are even trying to buy land in Kalen.
Okay.
In most cases, in fact, the people who started were getting a lot of challenges because it was moving from a white person to a white person. And also, of course, the Asians were in the parklands areas. So there is an inequity there.
And it still exists, Waziri?
Yes, I mean they are freeholds even today, even like where I stay.
But are we saying now because I think
So
that
the basis of us thinking or coming up with this is because you within the cities you are enjoying extra services that are funded by the taxpayer. So it can't be okay for some people to pay for land within the same urban area. And others are not paying.
Sorry, Waziri, can we be clear about what some of those are? Because that question is already coming up.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about individuals, because previously the idea was that there were settlers, and they were white settlers who had remained in Kenya after independence, and they had hold of this land, and it is freehold land, right?
Let's divide the rural. In the rural,
I'm still talking about the city, like what you had prescribed. Yes. And that remains the case today.
It does.
So some of the services that we are speaking of today, we're talking about road infrastructure. Are we talking about water? Are we talking about provision of last mile electricity?
Yes, all these services.
All these services, sewage and sanitation, and all of those are being provided within the same city where other people are having to pay rates for some of these
and
things.
Land rent.
Okay.
And those ones are peppercorn. They are not paying anything at all. So if you are in Buruburu, you pay land rent and pay rates. The land rent goes to the national government and the rates go to the county government. So really, we look at it and we thought it is time to address that as one, to address the inequality, call it inequality, not iniquity, inequality. Address the inequality, but also that it is not fair that you are enjoying services funded by the same taxpayers, all of us, and then you are paying and I'm not
and
paying.
others are not paying.
Yeah, that was the basic principle. But it was misunderstood that because it's freehold, because it's mine, by doing that, we shall interfere with the leasehold, with the freehold tenure. Possibly, if you don't pay, there could be consequences.
Okay.
And we were going to, this was an amendment to the law, but then in the regulation, because after the law is amended, then you come up and propose a regulation to now, order, how that will be done, to regulate, to control how then I will, as the cabinet secretary, collect that levy and also engage the public as to how much.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah.
Because you're giving us practical examples. Are we using the practical examples of urban areas,
Yes.
right? Because this is what's going to have...
Urban areas,
is
the
seeking
cities, yes.
to affect the urban areas, the cities.
Yes.
In the city of Nairobi, as we sit right now, this bill is not law. You've told us Eastlands, if we look at all these areas of Eastlands, all of them are freeholds. No, leaseholds.
They are leaseholds, yes.
They are leaseholds.
Yes.
We were running a campaign here the other day with the Nairobi City County government reminding people about the need to pay their rates. So these are the ones that needed to pay the rate.
Yes.
You're saying there are parts of this city where the people do not pay rate and they're not required to pay rate.
No, they are paying rates, not land rent.
They're not paying land rent.
Yes, rent.
Okay.
To
But
the
they're paying
national
the
government.
rates.
They are paying rates.
They're not paying the rent to the
Yes.
national government.
Yes.
And these are which areas? You said parts of Karen,
Karen, Muthaiga.
Part of Karen,
Muthaiga,
Lavington,
Westlands.
basically what was called the leafy areas or the suburbs.
So the leafy suburbs of Nairobi.
Yes.
It
and
doesn't
you know
matter.
who used to occupy them.
It doesn't
so it
matter
was
what.
skewed.
Originally, maybe
Yeah.
those lands were big acres, 10 acres, 40
Yeah, of course,
acres.
they have now been
Then they've
subdivided.
subdivided. Even
Yes.
when they've been subdivided to half acre, they are still.
They are still freeholds.
Freeholds.
Because you see, changing tenure is practically not possible unless the owner applies to change
Okay.
the change of that tenure. Because you can convert your land.
You
from
can actually convert it.
Yes, you can convert by your own application.
Can I convert leasehold into freehold?
No.
It's not fair.
Can only be one way.
One way.
Giving it back to the government.
Okay.
So
Because you see, the leasehold belongs to the government.
Yeah.
So
it's only the government.
It's only the other way around. And
So-
of course, it's by choice because sometimes maybe where you are, basically because you might now find yourself that you are even subdivided to flats, to whatever, and you want to sell
Yeah.
flats. And it's now not possible to sell a flat there as a freehold. Yes.
So the land, sorry, City, just to continue with this one. Even when these pieces of lands have been subdivided, because we have seen, like in Muthaiga and
Yeah.
Westlands and in Karen, they've all been subdivided into smaller plots. And there's been application for change of user.
Yes,
it was initially
we allow.
agricultural
Yeah,
land.
yeah.
And now you've changed use
Yeah,
into
we allow.
commercial,
Yeah.
into residential.
Yeah.
Even when you change from agriculture to commercial, you still retain it as freehold.
That's what people would like to do, but you are now requested to change.
Okay.
Yeah, to apply for change of user.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the proposals now in the law
Yeah.
were saying all these lands that are freehold will remain as freehold,
Yes.
but they will now be subjected
levy.
to a levy.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
At no time were we going to take it because it's practically not possible to change your tenure, and unless you apply.
Okay.
Yes.
What percentage are we looking at that's charged on rates currently? Land rent.
Rent.
Land
Normally
rent.
it's actually the unimproved site value. It's between maybe the amount of land of rates that you pay for the 99 years is more or less equivalent to the amount of rates that you pay, or the amount of when you have a leasehold, it is valued at the beginning, where you pay the premium, the start premium, and then you have an annual amount that is evaluated at between 20% or thereabout of the unimproved value of that land.
So are we saying then on an annual basis,
Yes.
will there be yet another?
Once we raise the levy, it is annual.
Okay, so there will be an annual payment,
Yes.
obviously, because
Yeah.
we're looking at
Yes.
a land rent that's going to be paid on
Yeah.
an annual basis.
Yeah.
However, is there a valuation that will be done every year?
Yeah, the valuation will be done not every year. Actually, valuation for rates and rent basically is supposed to be 10 years.
Okay.
Because we are talking about the roll, the valuation index, and the index is that it's quite a taxing and expensive affair. You
Right.
can't afford to do it annually.
Yeah.
You do estimates for 10 years, 8 to 10. In fact, the proposal now in the new land policy that we are coming up with is that it should be between, we are trying to bring it back down to 5 years. But after public participation, we also realized, because it's an expensive exercise, it's better we still retain it at between 8 and 10 years for review.
Okay. Off the face of it, it makes some sense. The question is,
I think it is where we are that poisoned the
chalice, essentially.
the chalice. Yes.
why has this come up now? Because this freehold land has been in the hands of the owners for, at the very
You see,
least,
the owners are
60
quite
years.
influential people.
So why has this then come up
The owners
in this bill?
of lands in Karen and whatever, mainly are who is who basically in most cities, those leafy areas. So they are also influential people, and it's about policy, and they also have influence. I think also government workings sometimes are not well coordinated, and people are afraid of making hard decisions. I think this is one of the hard decisions, and even during the public participation, some of these people would be the ones poisoning the public debate or trying to sway the public debate so that they can remain without any payment. And I think that because your question is why now?
Yeah.
I mean, look, we are collecting money for development,
Sure.
for maintenance, for sustainability.
Okay, can I ask then,
a
Waziri?
government must find out, because we said we also need to broaden, to widen the bracket.
Okay.
And these are areas where, because every time we are raiding the salary, because it's quite easy, it's obvious because people are working. But these are other areas that we have found out as a ministry that really this is the time to do it.
Is there a projection in terms of the kinds of funds we're talking about here? I hope there is one, because you would then say, look, if there's a map of where this freehold land is, where folks have not been paying land rent for the last, 60 years.
We're not going to correct any areas. It's just going
exactly,
forward.
we're not it's going forward.
Yeah.
But is there a projection of how much that would be
I think
collected?
we hadn't done that. But the point is, it is an available source of tax.
Is it being banked on? Is it being relied upon for development?
Whatever we collect, we put it to the main basket.
Yes.
To treasury. Yeah, it's part of what we will still use.
Okay, so it's not marked and say, okay,
it's not
from the Ministry of
for the
Lands, we
ministry
will
to
bring
use.
you 10 billion shillings in 2025.
All the ministries, especially the service ministries that have areas where they can collect land, we have agreed that these are, instead of being very narrow and staying within the box where we are comfortably knowing that we'll get a salary and then we get a month, we have and pay some income tax. We've agreed that all the agencies, especially that are service and provide, say like, and they are charging levies, they look at other areas that are idle and that actually maybe, in fact, there may be no opposition. So the projections, we haven't done the projections because once we implement, because also, you must do public participation and be allowed, including the thresholds. Yes, but we would expect that we would correct possibly maybe 10 billion.
Every year? That's a significant amount, is it not? That can be done. Okay.
Yeah, including if I'm also looking forward to doing the completing digitization that obviously I need money to do. Instead of going to borrow maybe 40 billion or 50 billion to do the entire digitization of the land records.
Yeah.
Then this is money I can bring to the basket and be able to negotiate that, look, increase my budget. Because even if I corrected 20 billion, I don't have the liberty to use all of it. But from the service, these are taxes. From the levy, you are able to actually use that to do development of your ministry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. We will continue this conversation shortly. Alice Wahome is the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development. She's here to explain to us and clear the air on what's been a controversial topic. So there's a bill and it was withdrawn. Was it?
Yes.
Or was it not?
It was withdrawn because when you
we shall
propose
discuss
a bill,
that. We shall discuss that.
It is
there was a
withdrawn.
bill, there was a proposal before Parliament, and that was seeking to amend the Land Act, the Land Laws Amendment Bill of 2024, and among the provisions was this one of seeking to impose.
Charge, not impose, charge a levy. Because I was still going to get permission.
It was seeking to charge a levy, and this is the land rent payable to the national government for freehold land that is within urban areas and cities.
Yes.
It will not affect rural land.
Areas.
You will tell us also about that shortly. Good morning. We'll be back shortly.
Habari njema, mchezo mpya kushinda hela umewasili. Tazama utuzwe ni mchezo rahisi.
Let's do this. Sasa mimi naweza wapi na masufuria? Si uite wanaume waza kwa kusaidia.
Kumbe ndo utakuwa mjoli.
Nigonge uniue baba, siona mimi sikufai.
Wewe mamangu.
Aibu.
Mr. DJ mziki tunangoja, mchelewa mziki tunangoja.
Umetuweka na mziki inashika kutoka kwa kanisa na paka kila boda.
Uko kwa Yesu ni full vibe. Uko kwa Yesu ni full vibe.
Uko kwa Yesu ni full vibe. I say together. Vibe.
Senator Dr. Rasha Kelej and creator of our Africa TV show.
All Africa will be part of our show.
The CEO of MAC Foundation.
We want to support girls' education. No to infertility stigma, yes to girls' education. We want to stop gender-based violence for stop. Number of child marriage will double by 2050.
Spice up your life.
Okay, so we're looking at easy streets through Nairobi, whether you're looking at northeast, west, south, throughout. Not an issue. Ngong Road is also looking good. We saw some traffic coming off of that part earlier on, but not so much right now. And on Mombasa Road, heading out into the city, it's going to be clear. It is right now. Probably will continue. We are in traffic hour, but doesn't seem to be much traffic. Keeping an eye on things this morning. Do help us out just in case you run into a hot spot. Spice FM KE on X. Hashtag the Situation Room.
Spice and everything nice. All right.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
25 minutes to 9. We are having a conversation about land issues this morning, and the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development, Alice Wahome, is our guest. Let's just go back into just creating the whole understanding again. Land in this country is categorized into three. Community land, public land, and private land.
Yeah.
Land tenure.
And then public land, there is national government and
county government.
All holding in trust for Kenyans.
For the public.
For the public, yeah.
Okay. And then land tenure, the title that you hold is either freehold or leasehold.
Yes.
Leasehold is in perpetuity.
Freehold.
No, freehold is in perpetuity.
Yes.
Leasehold has tenures maximum 99 years.
Maximum by the constitution.
Okay.
99 years.
A lot of the land in urban areas.
But let me say that there are still people holding leaseholds of 99.
Of beyond 99.
Yeah, and I'm thinking as to how to bring them on board, because they were supposed to have returned them for us to now issue 99 years.
Okay.
Yes. They haven't brought.
That's another one. That's
another whole conversation.
That's another whole conversation.
Yeah, but they should be thinking of coming to the land offices so that we can convert them to 99 years. Whatever they are holding now is not a title. They cannot transact with it. Yes.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Now, many pieces of land in urban areas, let's say just in Nairobi, using as an example, are on leasehold.
Yes.
And this leasehold is where it's for a period of maximum 99 years, and you're required to pay land rates to the county and rent to the national government. And then very many pieces of land, again, in the same Nairobi, are on freehold, whether they are doing agriculture or they have apartments or they have commercial buildings on them, they are on freehold.
Not just Nairobi, of course. We know we have now
areas.
4 cities.
Yes, in the cities.
Yeah, in the cities. That's where really we were looking at.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the proposal was now that you are not changing the tenure
yes,
from freehold to anything else.
From freehold to leasehold,
Yeah.
or from, of course, people would like me to change, would like also to change from leasehold to freehold, but it's also not possible.
Yeah.
But the argument is that I'm changing, converting, the government is coming to steal your land, which is perpetually held, ancestral land, all that story, freehold, perpetuity, to leasehold, so that I limit the period when you can use. Because after expiry of 99 years, you come back, and actually the government, the county government, national government can convert land, can reject or decline to renew or extend. Yes, because that is maybe the catch.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the fear was that what this proposal is trying to do is trying to convert all freehold land to leasehold land, with of course a game ahead of
which of course is not true, and I don't want to call it a lie because it's not a good word, but it's a very bad misinformation.
Okay.
Yeah. So and it is wrong to trend that kind of misinformation, because it was meant to create fear, distort the truth, and I think it is, you need a security of tenure. So it created severe insecurity for people to feel or to hear that their perpetually held freehold will then be converted to the government.
Okay.
Yes.
So all you're trying to do...
I'm here confirming that was not the case. Although the bill, I'm not coming to justify, because in time, I just wanted to set the record straight, clear the air, give the correct information regarding the proposed amendment. And in fact, City, because this was really very badly treated, I could just say the proposal was to amend section 54 of the Land Act, and then put a 54A, and it was the owner of any freehold land situate within boundaries of any urban area or city shall pay an annual land levy equivalent to land rent charged on a comparable leasehold, so that those who are paying nothing, then that becomes that like equivalent, meaning then you equalize for those paying leaseholds and these who are now not paying. And then we also had said, provided that any owner of freehold of land that is put to agricultural use may be exempt. I think the operative word there is maybe, because also it depends on what agriculture you are doing.
Yeah.
Because we also, we want to encourage production, but then we don't, and we know agriculture is not so, it's not, especially on the small scale, is not really very economically viable.
The question I want to ask, Madam Waziri, is what are these conditions under which the government would not renew a lease?
Sometimes maybe the user at that time, you have to agree with the user has to now be stated when you are renewing. Secondly, maybe the government requires the use of that land. Okay? And clearly you held it at a number of years and the years are over. However, there is something we call a preemptive rights. The first priority and the right to renew and extend, actually extension is really never denied, save that we come up with other conditions at that time, because if you held 99 years, things have changed. The environment is not the same. So therefore, you may have to find that you may not have it.
Let's give an example.
But preemptive rights say, require you to be considered for renewal. Ordinarily, this is granted.
I own a property, for example, leasehold, but at the time of my purchasing it, there was just 10 years left of that 99 years.
When you own, when you buy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they don't give me a new lease of 99. I continue with the lease.
With the remainder.
Exactly. Now, when I want to renew,
yes,
you're saying I have the preemptive right to be given,
considered,
to be considered.
Yeah.
Who does the consideration?
That is the tenure. That is how the tenure is.
Yes,
the consideration is by the authority.
It is your
either
your
national
office.
government, yes, or county government, because they have a big say, especially land. Because once it is assumed now that land has become public, so it reverts to national government or to county government. Really, that is our tenure. That's how arrangement is. But I haven't seen situations where it is said that you may lose. But I mean, it's a consideration, because if you are making an application, ordinarily an application can be declined, but it doesn't happen. What happens is that you are given new conditions of the term, of the amount of money, the land length, the rates now change, because obviously the land is now within maybe there is more development and more value for that land.
So let's say I'm denied this renewal and I have a structure. What then happens to my structure?
Actually, any structure unless you had done it, maybe you bought, like you said, let's use your case, 10 years. Maybe you bought and now built.
The house was on it, but I extended it.
Ordinarily, when you are renewing, also you bring plans. The lease plan that you present for approval.
Yes.
So that we also know now, at this stage, where is the sewer, where is the water, where are the services, where is electricity.
Yes.
So, and maybe if it's like, the old houses that were done in 1900, for example, that is not considered as a structure anymore for purposes of development and renewal.
And safety.
So, yes, and safety. So you bring a fresh drawings for the buildings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's say all those boxes I have ticked, but
you get the renewal,
and I don't get the renewal. That is my point.
No,
don't get the renewal.
No, you see, there are conditions that you fulfill.
Yes.
Once you fulfill those conditions, then
the question I'm asking you is, if I meet all these requirements,
you will get the renewal.
It is not possible for me not to get the renewal.
No, it's not possible. But if it is land which is big, that's where you find the
how big is big?
I mean, like I'm having a problem. For example, I can use this because it's pending on our desks.
Yes.
Kiambu or Country Club.
Yes.
I think they have 75 acres.
Yes.
And I think most of it, from what they have presented, is utilized by golf. It's a golf field. And the county government of Kiambu is saying, look, we now need you to cede some land as part of the conditions for us
renewal
to accept renewal.
Right.
You understand?
And the members
they are also giving, and maybe you are a member of that club, and they are also giving good reasons why they need
want the land.
Why they want some land, like bus park, I think an entertainment, or basically a resting
for social
place,
amenities.
social amenity, maybe a school there and there. Then the club is also saying, look, we don't have any space here to seed. So, you have now to deal with that kind of a situation. Yeah. So most of the times, because even today when you are subdividing your land, some of the conditions that you must meet is you must provide for utilities, public utilities, because maybe you are coming up with 2,000 units.
Yeah.
Spread all over. We must see a school, we must see a dispensary, we must see a police unit, space, we must see secondary, primary, and including maybe
some
daycare, some market, some space for children to play, some market, some shopping center. Yeah.
Is coming back to that issue, I talked about projections, and that was on the money side of it. Now, looking at what the planning and the mapping is the ministry currently, because one would assume that by the time we're saying, okay, there's got to be some payment in terms of rent, is there collective information of just about where each and every piece of this land is that we're going to now start asking folks to pay rent on? Are you aware of where it all is?
We know the areas. We know the areas. But within those areas now, of course, some areas, even within the same areas, those who have now converted their freeholds to leaseholds are also now paying that. So, but it's basically the original suburbs. That's where all these lands are, including, even if you go to Eldoret, if you go to, because it's becoming a city, in fact, it's already approved. If you go to Nakuru, if you go, you know, Kisumu, Mombasa, it's known. Yeah.
Okay. So then from this,
so in fact, the Kenyans should be encouraging me to actually cover that, because I'm not going to change the tenure. I'm not going to allow, the government will not be in a position to take their land. And the discussion about how much, we will have to justify how much and why. And that normally is through the regulations. And that will come back to Parliament, and the public will be consulted during our own, as a ministry, public participation, because before we go to Parliament, we must do it. And then Parliament will also get opportunity to take it to the public for
their feedback.
So the amounts were not even stated, because you can't state the amounts in the parent law.
Okay. What happens in the event of non-adherence? Let's assume that we've gone ahead in this process, and by whatever nature, all of this then is approved and it's stamped on and it goes forward.
I think if you don't collect, there will be punity. Some of it, maybe you are forced to sell a small portion of it, or maybe you have a salary, because you know, even when you have a leasehold, you don't pay land, you don't pay rates. The county government is always selling land.
So they can auction the land.
They can auction. They do auction in recovery of rates. So why are some people?
So it's the same.
It's basically
it would move to the same.
We would have now discussed that in the regulations. Yes, I can't just blanket and say preempt. Yes, I can't.
But most likely you're going to
because
do what happens.
Most of the times what we do is place a charge. On the property.
But in the interest of equity and equality, like you're saying, if we want to equalize what is happening to those with leasehold land
within the same urban area should be the same.
Apply.
Should apply. Across the board.
So it would be expected that, well, if you actually then do not pay your land rent and the penalties accrue to a certain level, then the government would have to come and say, now we need to recover the money. So
ordinarily what the government does is to give notices. You know, that, you know, generally notices pay by this date, but most of the times people actually
end up
paying, although there is a lot of money owed to both county governments and national governments. People don't like paying. Yes, people don't like paying.
The argument that you have put forth here very strongly and very well is that there are people who have the leasehold land. They're paying both rent
and land rent
and rate. They're paying to the county and they're paying to the national government.
Correct.
In this Nairobi. And there are other people in Nairobi and Mombasa, the cities, who are only paying to the county the rates, and they're not paying the rent.
They are not paying the rent.
And you want to equalize
and
this.
Indeed, the services in those areas are far much better, because, you know, there are fewer people. There's no constraint because of population. So, except maybe Karen, where there is a serious problem of water. But that will be sorted when the northern collector is finally connected. So you'll find that they also have better security. I mean, they're enjoying good things.
Much more, the bigger provider of these services is the county government, though.
It's actually the national government.
Water, sewerage services,
electricity,
all these installation, the infrastructure is actually built by the national government, but handed over to county governments for management. Yes. County governments don't have capacity to pay for huge sewerage, sanitation, water infrastructure. Even this Nairobi relies on water from, you know, all these other places like in Adakaine and whatever. Those are national government projects, but the county government manages now the installations, whatever. And that's where, in fact, if you remember, there was also then the proposal that because county governments are also selling water to Kenyans, they must start paying at the collection point, at the meter point, the bulk water meters, so that they pay at that level, then they go and sell. And then they will be better because they know they must collect money to pay at this point. They will stop the monkey business of
losing water,
wastage, non-revenue, and also converting our water to Boza business. Boza business,
so basically
which many times is generated by the workers of the county governments.
So basically to make them like Kenya Power and Kengen. Kenya Power buys power from Kengen, and then sells
to us.
Okay.
Yes.
Now,
so that you can now at that level, national government can correct money, revenue, for purposes of another project.
There's fear that if these were to go on like this, what stops you from coming with the same argument and saying, you see, even you in Kimana, Tok, I have done a road that takes your produce to the market. I have brought electricity all the way to your farm and your house. I have brought water services all the way to your house. So even you with freehold land in Kimana, Tok, and you're doing agriculture of onions and tomatoes and you're taking them to the market in Nairobi and Mombasa, you need to start also paying this.
I think the other levies that were being proposed, say like the avocado something. Remember there was an avocado tax that, basically
by
agricultural
somebody
products.
Else. What I'm saying is, the fear is
somebody else
Alice Wahome will come and say, you see, the people of Karen are paying and they have land, they are paying to me. You're also in productive land and we are providing services to you the same way we're providing to others. In the interest of equality, we also want you with your freehold land to pay.
Basically, I don't see it reaching there. Remember that that may not happen because there are other ways of correcting maybe money, taxes from those Kenyans who are doing basically in the rural areas. They are paying tax in their milk, their dairy products. They are paying, mboga when they are selling. Transporting it is still a cost. You are buying fertilizer, maybe there is a tax there. You are buying your seeds, there is a tax there.
Those are other taxes.
And then you are selling the product. And there were proposals. I mean, they will come.
It's the same argument. Somebody
I don't think it is the same argument.
An owner of a mall in Karen, right, is making money. But they are also paying. They are paying for business permits. They are paying for all these other things. They are paying for very many other levies in other ways.
But you see, the owner of the mall, is not necessarily the owner of the land. The owner of the mall is paying maybe their taxes, their income tax for the workers, and other taxes for the business and the licenses and what have you. But the owner of the land within the same urban area, it's a very simple, basic argument. Within the same urban area must be facing the same terms in terms of...
So as it is right now, what was in the bill was not touching anybody who owns a piece of freehold land, agricultural land in Tamu Muhoroni.
No.
Or in Kagongo, Shiga, Olaya.
No. In my Kandara rural home.
Yes.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
How much money does the government envision they will raise by levying these taxes on freehold land? Because there must be a
not on freehold land. On freehold land within city, you are a powerful mic there. On freehold land within urban areas and cities. In urban areas and cities, we will actually be going to, I think this is where we need also to tell Kenyans, because the boundaries should be clearly delineated so that they are clearly known and marked. So that the fear of my mother is addressed.
Yes. And urban areas, Mheshimiwa, starts from towns to municipalities.
Yes.
All the way to cities.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So even in Tamu town.
Yes.
And your land is touching tarmac. And it was demarcated within Mailitisa.
You see, when we went to Parliament,
you're in a municipality.
You are in. When we went to Parliament with this proposal, Parliament said, "Wait a minute," because also they are MPs and they have concerns from their
constituents.
Oh, you people, you are now taking our land.
Ancestral land.
They said, "Look, we want for now to leave it to the cabinet secretary to be gazetting because they know." Within regulations, not to just generalize, so that when you gazette, you can even be summoned to Parliament, because our authority ends and starts also in Parliament in doing these things generally.
Right. Legislation.
And any member of Parliament can actually, challenge, amend a bill in Parliament. So there was going to be agreement in terms of moving forward that we will be gazetting those urban areas because and mark the boundaries. And indeed, the marking of boundaries is an exercise by the people, their counties, and maybe just facilitation from the national government and IEBC.
So I have to ask really quickly, because we know that urban development is a continuous process. It continues, it keeps going. As we talk about, road infrastructure going from place to place. I mean, for example, dormitory towns of Nairobi 10 years ago were not dormitory towns. There was vast expanse of land, right? So as that continues to happen, then there lies the possibility that these levies that we are talking about could then come into force for people who today it's just ancestral land, or it's just,
I think some cases people will have to establish new ancestral land, because once the town takes over your land, in fact, most of the times is that people are selling that land and moving elsewhere because they just also can't even cope with the whole growth there and the urbanization and the development. So and that is something that you may not have control of, depending on the vicinity of your land from town. And we have seen Nairobi is going all the way to Gong, Kitengera, Keno, Machakos.
Kandara is
I think Kandara will be an urban area. It's already an urban area. Yeah, because I take 40 minutes on a Sunday to reach there. Really, basically. But within those towns, you don't just take the whole of Kandara, for example. There will be boundaries to be agreed upon by the people.
But this is urban.
Yes, that this is a town.
Okay.
So that it can then fall within the urban areas and cities. There is an Urban Areas and Cities Act that was enacted in 2013. And indeed, since 2013, there had been no regulations. We've just finished those regulations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Waziri, we've come to the end of the year, but I've got to ask you, now that it has been withdrawn from Parliament, what next?
We will continue to engage the public and Parliament, because we need the bill. And I'm sure when these facts start coming out, and one of the objectives of really public debate is to cover the ground properly, ensure that people understand what it is and the benefit, because this is money that really is in people's, it's just there, and people, and those areas really are not really going to feel, are not people who would feel the pinch so much. Yeah, they're enjoying services. It's their right, it's their land, but they must also agree we need to have an equal and fair platform for all of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alice Wahome, Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development. It's 9 a.m.
Yeah. President William Ruto now says that he'll